Hello, and welcome back to Designed by Wingnut Social. I'm your host, Liz Potarazu, CEO and principal designer of LP & Co. I'm currently filling in for the Grand High Poobah herself, Darla Powell. And I am also a Wingnut client, and I have also been a podcast guest. So check out my episode on Designed by Wingnut Social. Today, we are speaking with Alex Back. He is the founder of Couch.com. And we are going to be talking a little bit about how people are buying couches these days, how AI is playing a role in interior design and the retail experience for consumers, and how Couch.com could be a resource for interior designers. Alex Back is the founder and CEO of Couch.com, a new platform dedicated to solving the single biggest problem facing the furniture industry. No one knows where the heck to buy a couch. He previously founded and ran the popular furniture brand Apartment 2B for 13 years prior to his exit in 2023. So Wingnuts, help me in welcoming Alex Back to the show. Hi, and welcome, Alex Back. How the hell are you?
I'm freaking great. How are you doing, Liz?
I'm doing awesome. Thank you. So Alex Back is the founder of Couch.com. So tell us a little bit about Couch.com.
Sure. I'm super excited about Couch.com. I have been in the furniture industry for most of my adult life and have noticed a common theme when selling furniture to customers and speaking to friends and family, that really no one really knows where to buy furniture. When you're buying a couch, it is actually quite difficult to figure out where to buy it. So that's sort of the biggest problem that we're seeking to solve with Couch.com, and we're building a platform that sort of connects user or customer with retailer. The customers have trouble finding the retailers have trouble finding the customers. And so we are engaging on a quest to become the best middleman, if you will, between user and retailer. People come to us, give us a little bit of information, or engage with some of our content or brand reviews, whatever their entry point is. We want to be able to sort of usher them along on their journey to finding the perfect retailer, whether that's an online retailer or a brick and mortar retailer near them.
Awesome. So when the customer comes to your site, how exactly are they finding out which retailer is the best fit for them?
Yeah, great question. So there's a number of entry points. And by the way, at the time that we're recording this in May, we're sort of in between version 1 and version 2 of the site. And then we're going to be rolling out different features throughout the course of this year. Eventually, and ultimately, the users are going to come, and depending on where they enter into our funnel or come to our site, they will give us different information, or they will be able to seek out different information. So one sort of classic example is a quiz funnel entry point, right? Just asking someone questions, just like you would as an interior designer. And as I'm sure you have seen in the past, if you've ever asked, your average person or average client questions about furniture and decor, there's a lot of hesitation. Like, no one really feels like they know exactly what they want most of the time. So asking them questions like, do you have kids? Do you have pets? Does it need, do you have certain color preference? How soon do you need something? What is your budget? These are all variables that will dramatically narrow the results of which retailer, which products that a consumer should consider. The other side of it, there's, we have brand reviews if someone's already considering a brand, and we have education if someone literally doesn't know what a couch is. We'll tell you what a couch is, and then I think we'll send you on your way after that.
Cool. So in terms of the content that's on your site, are there pieces or blogs by interior designers that are trying to kind of guide the clients as to which kind of couch they should get?
Man, you're already hustling for a job, Liz. This is unbelievable. I must have pitched you really well just now. Actually, we literally just posted a series that I'm calling Ask Rebecca with a designer that I've become friends with named Rebecca Hay from Rebecca Hay Designs. And she's fantastic, and we basically just answer common questions that customers have. Now we've done all like the dorky stuff, like all the Google research to figure out what are people asking most commonly. It's not just, our gut feeling. Things like how long should a sofa last for? And, should I go for a neutral colored couch or something bold? And we answer those questions. There's a few other designers that I've worked with thus far already, but there is a design element to couch.com too, just to give someone a light touch guidance, like some light touch guidance if that's what they need.
No, that makes sense and sounds very helpful for the user for sure. So do you have any tips for buying a couch in 2024?
Oh man, I am chock full. You asked the right guy. My friends call me the Couch King, Liz. So I think
great name.
I think I have something to thank you to say about this. The first thing that I would say, as far as just overarching tips, that is, if you're buying a couch that isn't on sale, you probably can look a little bit deeper. And the reason I say that is because the last year and a half or so for the furniture industry has been really, really tough, right? Furniture is generally tied to, or furniture sales, furniture retail is generally tied to housing market. And as we know, there's been a major slowdown of, new properties being built, properties being bought and sold because of the interest rates. So it's a little weird that interest rates for mortgages and borrowing money would trickle down to the furniture industry so directly, but it really, you look at the trends over the years and that's the case. That being said, everybody's chock full of inventory. Everybody has, needs to hit their numbers. Everybody's higher ups at every furniture company are wondering why they're not hitting the numbers from 2 years ago. So there's a lot of pressure to discount and promote, and you'll see a lot of promotions out there as a result, especially now we're coming up on Memorial Day. This probably will be posted after Memorial Day, but this is going to be a big one for finding great bargains.
Okay. So that as the middleman, couch.com, how does the retailer, the couch manufacturer, work with you? Like, what is I assume the benefit is that they're getting eyes on their product by using you, but then how do you make money? If that makes sense.
Great question. Like we discussed before we recorded, I am not a tech bro or a tech superstar, but I am a pretty good marketer. And I know from being a marketer in the furniture industry how difficult it is to find great leads. So it's sort of like we go to the town square as furniture retailers and just sort of, announce, we have furniture. Would anybody like some? Versus in many other verticals or industries, there are a lot more, they're more clearly defined areas or places to target potential customers.
Right. You could call on people, for example. Can't really do that with a couch.
Right. So in this case, ultimately, we're creating an advertising platform for the furniture industry. And the retailers, they're just looking for the warmest leads possible, and they're willing to pay because this is a high average order value transaction. The company I used to run, our average order value is over $2,000. So the cost to acquire a user can be quite high as a result. That being said, there's so much money being wasted in the furniture industry with inefficient advertising on Meta, Google, you name it. And then in the affiliate space, it's like the wild, wild west for affiliate marketing. So we're trying to help retailers market to users who are obviously looking for a new couch.
Okay, that makes sense. So is there anything about couch suppliers or manufacturers that we as interior designers might not know?
Well, I always feel like interior designers spend way too much money on furniture, but that's just my personal take.
We don't spend it. Our clients spend it.
Okay, so you see where I was going with this joke.
Yeah.
Like, if it was your money, would you be buying the $20,000 custom piece? I think, my biggest sort of provocative take is that there's a big difference between like a $300 sofa and a $3,000 sofa. But there's much less of a big difference between a $3,000 sofa and a $30,000 sofa, which is to say that I feel like, designers, and I know from being at the trade shows that you've probably visited as well, we all sort of get romanced by the manufacturers and suppliers of the industry. with a glass of champagne and a fancy looking showroom. But at the end of the day, the actual construction and the actual workmanship that goes into couches, there's sort of a big drop off, I would say, after you get to a certain point. There's only so many ways you can build a couch, and they generally will last you a long time as long as it's not a piece of crap.
Okay, well, that's helpful. I mean, I think as designers, we do go to High Point Market or any of the other various markets so that we can educate ourselves on the construction and then therefore educate our clients on it. But, like you said, we know what our costs are for these types of furniture versus what we sell it to our clients for. So I think that also gives us a good heads up into the actual quality of it. Because sometimes retail is way higher than what you're purchasing it for. And it does make you wonder, well, what is this actually made of, or how is this made? And what is the actual, value of this? But no, that's good information. So in terms of, obviously you're seeing kind of the big picture of all kinds of couches. Where would you see trends are going? And maybe this is a separate question, but how does AI factor into all of this? I know as interior designers, some of us do virtual design. That's not something I do. But virtual design now feels like it could be kind of done through AI. So how are you using AI within Couch.com?
Yeah, great question. So I think as far as just general direction, what I've seen, I've been in the furniture space for, it sounds like a lot because I look so young, but it was like 20 years. And I've seen it become more and more like what I would call fast fashion. Now, it's not like the H&M necessarily of furniture or something like that, but it's far less like the heirloom pieces, right? I feel like, and maybe we're probably around the same age, like our parents' generation, they're focused on buying furniture. You buy furniture once for your house. Like you move into the house, you buy the furniture, and it lasts as long as it does before it falls apart, or you give it to your kid when they move to college. But these days, furniture is fashionable, and couches excite people, and it is an expression of their personality as much as your wallpaper is behind you or your super cute pink blazer. Like these are or my crazy wall. Like these are expressions of our personality that I think are we weren't seeing it like that before. So I think people are quicker to replace something, just like you would get a new piece of clothing. Obviously it's different, but I think we're seeing the average time that sofas are in homes go from, like, when I started out, it was like 15 years down to 10 years, and now it's around 5 or 6. So, that means that people are switching things out more often. They're buying them more often. And then to round off into your second question about AI, AI tools are there to help make things easier for us. So if we're buying things more regularly, or if we're searching for things more regularly, AI is there to help narrow our results and point us in the right direction faster than a human or a company could previously to finding what we want. And there are a few ways we're doing that at Couch.com, but I'll pause there for comments or questions.
That's a good point. I feel like I recently read a stat that the amount of furniture in landfills has increased 400% in the last, I don't know, I can't remember what the time frame was, but let's just call it 20 years, which is kind of an insane figure. So yeah, I absolutely can see that 100% as a trend. I know as interior designers, we're trying to steer our clients away from that as much as we can, or at least that's sort of how I operate, is let's buy those heirloom pieces that you can reupholster and make them fresh and new without having to buy new. But the reality is that most people aren't hiring an interior designer, and the general masses who are shopping retail are looking for that sort of fast fashion kind of, grab and chuck, 5 years from now, or, when you move into your next apartment, you're like, it doesn't fit anymore. Let's just, kind of toss it. But that said, it also makes the pricing way more accessible. I know when I was moving into apartments in New York City, I had to go to Goodwill to buy stuff because I couldn't afford what I wanted to afford on $35,000 a year. So yeah, that's, there's pluses and minuses, I think, to both sides of it. But really interesting.
You asked me about AI. I think AI is doing two things to furniture buying, especially online furniture buying. One, it's really helping narrow down results for people. Like you can give an AI chatbot or an AI powered quiz a little bit of information, and it will intuitively give you results that are, generally speaking, better than what the old school like search bar typical journey would be. And so I think that's really helpful. But also in visualization tools, like, my goodness, Wayfair, for instance, has this amazing tool or application where you like upload a picture of your existing room, and it sort of reimagines the space. Like, if your room, like you put, a picture of the room behind you, it would like give you a different wallpaper, show you different furniture. And then it will give you the products that you can buy to make that happen or to achieve a similar design. Like these didn't exist 2 years ago. And I think that's really cool and very interesting.
Yeah, it is. It's very interesting. I think also potentially scary. A lot of people in our industry, I hear a lot of, talk about what is the value of interior designers if we have AI to kind of visualize for us. But at the same time, it's also sort of the democratization of interior design, meaning that now more people have access to it and have the ability to create beautiful spaces without having to, hire the multi-$1,000 interior designer.
Yeah, I think like anything like AI is doing to almost every industry, like we just have to adjust and understand what the new normal is and figure it out. There's just one company that we're partnered with called Full House. Fulhaus, Full House, and not like the sitcom, because I know you got excited. I saw
the Tanners.
The Tanners. It's not the Tanners. It's these lovely Canadians that have sort of they're interior designers. They've created an amazing AI powered tool to help like design rooms, like entire homes. It's their product is geared towards rental properties or larger, conglomerates or property managers, owners, to furnish an entire place easily. And their services are less sort of focused on design and more focused on the logistics and helping people actually achieve this and curating great suppliers. And there are other skills that they're utilizing, less they like making an awesome mood board, more just like the actual nitty gritty of it. So that's just an example, I think, of how interior design is, perhaps navigating around this new AI.
Yeah, that's interesting. I think as long as interior designers can continue to use their creative muscle, not only for the pretty, but for the business, we absolutely still have a place in the industry. Is there any way that like an interior designer could use Couch.com?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think, again, like I have access to, an unlimited amount of resources when it comes to buying a couch. I can buy them directly. Me, Alex, I can buy them directly from the manufacturers and suppliers. I go to the trade shows. I know these people. I have factories that'll build things. Literally, my friend Victor will make me any sofa that I want. But yet I hesitate when I think about buying a couch, because I don't know if it's really the right thing for me to do. Like, should I get something from Victor? Is there something better out there? Is there something better price? Is there something better quality? And I just think when in retail, psychologically, we just have to feel comfortable before we place an order, whether you're buying something on Amazon or you're buying something, buying a new car online, which is insane. But
from a vending machine.
From a vending machine, yeah.
Yeah.
That comfort is lacking. And so the more we can make a designer feel comfortable, like, wouldn't you like to go and just have a complete database, which is something we're building, of all the furniture retailers in your area, mom and pop and custom shops included. Maybe there's a custom shop that can make something the same way that you got it for the last client, but for 30% less. So you can charge the client the same amount of money, but no, just kidding.
No, not kidding. That's true.
It is true, sadly, in the industry. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, maybe this is sort of maybe this is it's less for interior designers. I mean, that's certainly not our target audience. But I just know, being a professional myself, I mean, I'm not a designer, but like, I know where to get furniture. And yet when it was time to furnish my house, I'm like driving to living spaces and loading my pickup truck up with whatever they had in the discount warehouse, because I just couldn't be bothered. There was no resource to be like, no, Alex, you should go here. You should go there.
And I think that that's also really interesting that you are starting to build these databases of local vendors, because, in the marketing world, we only know like what we know. So if I haven't heard of this mom and pop shop because it's, two guys and they have no idea how to do any kind of marketing, then it's really beneficial for me as the designer, who can find something that maybe is totally bespoke and super special, and I can really sell that value to my client, but also for them to make the sale. So I love the idea that you're kind of creating that database that is definitely useful for interior designers.
Yeah, just to riff on that for a second, one of the biggest sort of, I call it the Trojan horse of my entire concept with Couch.com, things that I'm most excited about is giving a voice to both mom and pop and regional chains that have been around forever, but like, they have no idea how to do digital advertising. My former company was, even when we were small, we were listed on all these listicles as being like one of the top 10 places in the country to buy a couch. Well, I'll tell you something. We weren't. There's plenty of other places to buy a couch. And I think that just giving a voice to some of these, even large retail chains that are brick and mortar focused. I know, because one of them bought the company that I used to run, and I worked with them very closely for years. Like, they don't really understand the digital landscape. They're old school. Like, they advertise on TV, newspaper, penny saver. They run, warehouse tent sales. Like, this is the furniture industry in its current form. 80% of it is done still on the brick and mortar level. So I want to give a voice to those retailers. And on the other side, for designers and customers alike, yep, maybe there is something at, Bob's Discount Furniture that might work for a design. Maybe not for you. You're super fancy.
Please.
Okay, I'll stop. I think you get the idea.
Okay. No, that's awesome. And I love that you are giving the voice to that, because at this point, we're all everyone's sort of competing with Wayfair. And if you can, and you don't have the multiple $1 million marketing budgets, then, how are you getting found? So I love that.
You just launched your business on September the 1st.
Yes.
So tell me how the Instagram for Designers course has helped you with that, and what kind of ROI you've received from that already, because I think it's pretty big, right?
It is. Yep. And I've had really great engagement since launching my page, and I've had a ton of leads come in, and I've landed some pretty big projects for spring of 2024. And I really don't think I would be here today if I didn't take this course.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's insane.
100%.
That is incredible. How many leads are you getting from Instagram? How is, what does that look like for you on a weekly or monthly basis? 1 to 2
per week. Every single one of my leads have come from Instagram. There's so many things that I wouldn't have known to, improve my search engine optimization on Instagram.
In terms of, I was thinking about, as you were talking about, creating this list, are there opportunities for like affiliate marketing or like influencer marketing through Couch.com? Like, let's just say I had a crazy Instagram following and I'm, recommending couches. Could I somehow make some money through using Couch.com?
Yeah, absolutely. It may be a little bit different because we, in essence, are an affiliate marketer ourselves, right? So when I worked as a retailer, we would use both platforms like Couch.com and publishers, right? Content publishers and influencers of many sorts to help influence people's, buying decisions. So we are sort of the influencer in this position, but that doesn't mean that we don't need help doing that. I mean, most of Couch.com's content thus far has been mostly yours truly. And as you can tell from the last hour of spending time with me, I mean, it gets a little old. So
No.
I think teaming up with other, that's why I mentioned before, like another designer into the mix, and I have friends in the industry that I'm reaching out to, whether they're like, I have an awesome article about couch warranties with the CEO of a company called Mulberry that's doing like revolutionizing the online furniture warranty game. And so like that stuff provides value. And in essence, he is an influencer. And, there are different ways for us to partner financially, but that is essentially the model. So it's a bit of an abstract answer. It's not as direct as like, yes, if you sell a couch, you get a commission, but there are absolutely ways to partner with us.
Okay, good to know for any designer out there who does have that larger following, and that's a stream of revenue for them. Would you say that you have any insight into performance fabrics? I am a big fan of performance fabrics. Most of my clients have pets or they have kids. I myself have kids. I used to have a pet. Sadly, he passed away. But it sucks. It's like the worst.
It's terrible.
The worst.
Way
feeling.
Worse than I thought it would be.
Yeah, exactly. Oh my God, I was a mess. Oh, I'm sorry that you had to go through that.
Same.
Anyway, but in terms of performance fabrics, I know that there are some, issues around sustainability for some of them. There's also, I guess, talk to me about, are things changing in terms of what's allowed anymore? I know like California is usually on the forefront of, disallowing certain products or ingredients within products to be sold. But are you seeing anything like that with performance fabrics that would go on these couches?
Great question. Not at any sort of great scale. I mean, there may be certain outliers of performance fabrics, or that have some sort of chemical compound or are treated with something that is deemed to be unsafe. But I find that to be very rare. I think the larger story here is how popular performance fabrics have become. For instance, I think it was only 5 or 7 years ago when we introduced our first performance fabric line at my former company, Apartment 2B. And now it's almost like the performance fabrics have the right of first refusal. Almost every single fabric sold in mainstream furniture is a performance fabric of some kind. I remember back in the day, we had this deal with Costco where we would do these roadshow events, meaning like we would be next to the guys with the headsets, selling knives or whatever, and hummus, and we would sell couches. And this was a time when microfiber, back in the early aughts, was just coming out.
Oh yeah.
So this was our whole pitch was this. We're like, come over here, try the pen test. People are like, what are you talking about, the pen test? We're like, here you go, take this pen, draw on that couch right there, and I guarantee you I can get it out. They'd be like, what? And they would draw on it, aside from the one time the guy drew a naked woman, and that's another story. But I was able to get almost everything out, if not all of it. And that was our pitch. This is something people hadn't seen 15, 20 years ago. Now it's like everything is that. And I think that's the bigger story.
Okay, interesting. So I did see I was perusing your Instagram as I was preparing for this interview. And I did see, just for designers out there who are listening, you do seem to have access to companies or retailers like Burke Decor, One Kings Lane, Kathy Quo, which they are selling the brands and the manufacturers that we as interior designers are also selling. So all of that to say that there are some high-end brands and that kind of thing that do have a presence on Couch.com. So not a bad place, I think, for interior designers to at least check out and maybe even, read up on some of the content.
Yeah, thank you for that. Because all I've been doing is talking about Bob's Discount Furniture and $500 couches. No, I mean, look, one example is we have a nice partnership with a great company, a D2C brand called Medley. Medley makes custom made-to-order Benchmade furniture couches in Southern California. And I have a whole interview with their founder about their sustainability practices, and you can kind of see it in his eyes how it's not a shtick or a sales pitch. It's actually something that's meaningful to him to use the most sustainable materials that he possibly can to produce a great high-end or mid to high-end product. And I think for those, whether you're a customer or designer, just like you're considering this brand and you see that, I even said to him, I'm like, there's no way that anyone who's considering your brand and just heard what you had to say would not be more compelled to buy your product. He's very handsome too, so that helped.
Oh, well, that doesn't hurt. Never hurts. No. No, I think for the interior designers listening, it's not a bad place to even just learn and educate yourselves about more of the brands. I've never heard of Medley, so that's interesting because you do have access to all of it. So if you're an interior designer listening to this, which is I think is basically the entire audience, go ahead and check out couch.com. Okay, so are you ready for the fire round?
Yes, I think so.
That didn't sound excited enough. Okay. Are you ready for the fire round?
I'm ready.
Yes. Okay, let's do it. What would the hashtag on your tombstone be?
So it's a tough one. The actual words, I don't know if it's the best way to phrase it, but it would be keeping it light. I just really like to have a good time and joke around. Case in point, like I've enjoyed this conversation immensely. We could have just kept it sort of more topical, but I like to really enjoy the things that I'm doing, especially when I'm working. And that's very important to me and sort of like cornerstone to me and my personality. So I like to keep everything sort of a little bit lighter and not keep it so heavy. So keeping it light.
Okay, awesome. That's awesome. I love it. I think as an entrepreneur, we work so much. It's like you got to like what you're doing and you got to keep it light. Otherwise, you won't survive. 100%. Okay, so you're stuck on a desert island and you could only have one food for the rest of your life. What would it be?
Well, I think for me, it would be bananas.
Bananas. Okay. Well, the monkeys might get mad at you.
What? Who said they were? Well, if the monkeys are there, I'll probably eat them. If you're on a desert island,
there's probably monkeys.
But then I might eat the monkeys because if they're available, that's
the one food that you want for the rest of your life.
I mean, there's no monkey meat. This
PETA's coming after you after this conversation.
It's come after me. You're the one who said monkeys. I love bananas. I've always loved the bananas. I could eat as many bananas as you would give me. They're probably going to grow on a deserted island. I feel like it's a reasonable take on what I should be eating.
That's very resourceful of you. For sure.
Thank you.
Okay, cool. So you must have very high potassium levels. Is that what they have, potassium?
I've never had a muscle cramp in my entire life.
Amazing. Never an eye twitch. Awesome. Perfect. Okay. So name a book that has impacted you either personally or professionally.
This is one I think is relatable. It's a business book, technically. Okay. Becoming Trader Joe.
Okay. About Trader Joe's, I assume?
It's an autobiography by Joe Coulombe, who is the founder and former CEO of Trader Joe's. And listening to this man's story is both inspiring from just like coming up with, business strategy, working around all of these different crazy regulations in a giant industry, both the wine and spirits industry and also the food industry. How he did that was incredible. And mostly, I think it's just culturally, like just going against the grain is a story or a narrative that everybody can relate to. Like the idea that he's like, no, I think I should not pay my employees as little as possible. I think I should pay my employees as much as possible so they stay around for a number of years. You go into Trader Joe's, you see a lot of gray hair around
That's true.
the management there, and there's a reason for that.
Yeah, Trader Joe's really is an amazing case study in general. I know in my MBA program, we learned a lot about them because just the way that they sell the products is kind of like how interior designers actually sell them products, meaning that they rebrand their manufacturers for selling stuff. So you might be, eating Tostios or whatever, but it's actually manufactured by whoever does Honey Nut Cheerios. So I think it's interesting.
Amazing.
Yeah,
amazing.
Very cool. Awesome. Well, Alex Back, thank you so much for joining us on Designed by Wingnut Social, and enjoy your day.
Thank you so much, Liz. You enjoy it too.
Well, Wingnuts, what did we think? I thought it was a really interesting conversation with Alex. And the key takeaway and one of the most interesting points that I found was how he is working to connect those smaller retailers and the smaller mom and pop shops with the larger consumer base, which I think is also super valuable to us as interior designers and really a two-way street. You know, we're helping the smaller mom and pop shops and they're helping us out as well. So really interesting to hear from Alex from Couch.com. Thanks for joining and putting up with me not being Darla Powell from Wingnut Social. I am Liz Potarazu, CEO and principal designer of LP & Co. You can find me on Instagram at LP&Co Design or online at lpandcodesign.com. Come check me out. And Wingnuts, remember, get out there, get uncomfortable, and be great. So today we were talking, okay, I'll start that again. Thanks so much for joining us on Wingnuts. Doing that again.
I think that was great. Spilled water all over myself. One for the bloopers.
What would the what?
Hold on a second. I forget the stupid title.